Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And this is our review for Emergency Declaration. And hey, if you enjoy movie reviews just like this one, we've got a lot more coming right here at the Movie Couple channel, so don't forget to subscribe. Emergency Declaration is a South Korean film directed by Hae Jae-rim, starring Song Kang-ho, Lee Byung-hun, Jeon Do-yeon, and Kim Nam-gil. A commercial aircraft is forced to declare an emergency when an unprecedented terror occurs in flight. I actually was not aware that this film had gone to Cannes, which piqued my interest even more on top of the cast that I already have enjoyed watching in their previous projects, whether it be K-dramas or movies. Song Kang-ho, you guys know from Parasite. Byung-hun Lee, various movies in Korea, various K-dramas in Korea. Storm Shadow in G.I. Joe, but not the new one, the older one. This is essentially like an action disaster film.
Yeah, well, I don't even know if you want to put action in there. It's more of like
true.
It's more of like a suspense kind of like how don't want to say that because that might have been a little bit of a spoiler. But it's more of like a disaster film. Something happens and this whole time it's the stressful situation. That is, what are people going to do? How are they going to react? How is this situation going to cause people to either become better or worse?
I actually kind of do want to get into it a little bit because I think we can talk about the film a little bit better if we do talk about what you don't want to spoil.
Oh, okay.
So I'll issue a spoiler warning here. If you haven't seen the trailer, then from this point on would be spoiler, and it may be your sign to exit out, but if you don't mind it and you want to hear more about this film, then stay tuned. So with that said, the premise of the film is essentially a bioterrorism on a plane, and they have to emergency declaration of landing because things were getting real dicey on the flight. So it's not just, people getting infected with this virus, but I was going to say bioweapon, but
it's a virus.
It's a virus.
They pretty much straight up say that it's a virus.
It's a virus, highly contagious,
and the fact
on a plane.
Yeah, and they're stuck on the plane. They're in this confined area, and no one is letting them land. So imagine what happened to what is it called? That cruise boat that had a whole bunch of COVID on it.
Oh,
and they were like, nope, you're not allowed to be here. Just can't land. So, but now take that boat and put it up in the air.
Yeah,
so,
at least with the boat, they
didn't have to worry about running out of gas.
They can maybe anchor somewhere, hopefully in safer, not like deep ocean.
Yeah.
But not, go into port. But with an airplane, gravity is a huge factor where you run out of fuel.
Yeah. And
things get real bad.
Now the problem's kind of solved.
Yeah.
In the worst case possible.
In the worst case possible. So this film does cover all of that we just said. So it does induce some anxiety. If you have airplane anxiety, maybe think about that before you watch the film. If you're super anxious about being in close spaces, super contagious viruses such as a COVID situation, even though this isn't talking about COVID, but it is a highly contagious, and the symptoms happen quickly. Within
within hours of being exposed.
Yeah.
And that's actually the thing that actually probably I had the hardest time with was the fact that I am, we're all a little traumatized from COVID. So having this kind of contagious disease trapped on an airplane, everyone is just losing their minds. There's a lot of tension that came along with it. And now that we're a little bit more educated about germs and viruses and contagions,
how it spreads and all that
there's
stuff.
a lot of times when we're able to sit down now and go, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Stop doing that. No, don't touch your face.
Bring out the Lysol.
Bring out the Lysol. I do have to admit, there were a lot of stressful moments, tension, a lot of stressful tension throughout this entire movie.
Throughout the entire movie, and not just on the plane too, because they really do switch back and forth of the chaos that's happening in the air as well as on the ground. Korea as a country trying to figure out how to help their own people, who is going to let them land, and when they do land, how do we contain this problem so it doesn't become a widespread thing. So there's so many different aspects to that. There's the human emotion of it, how humans behave and react to this situation Why did the person do this? Who's connected to what? So there's a lot of stuff going into it. I would say like the first act of the movie is pretty solid. As you see the drama and the incident unfold, and then the second act is kind of like the problem solving part of it. How do we figure this out, and how are we coming together as people to help our people, family, friends that are up in the air. And the third act, which is the conclusion of it all, unfortunately was a bit messy for me. Yeah, I felt that it was, I get what they were trying to do, and if you watch enough K-drama, the editing and the pacing of this entire movie totally makes sense. And I actually said, we were, just talking before we were filming, had this been like a limited series K-drama, I think that ending, they could have given a little bit more time to play out, would have been a stronger landing. But because it was in the film and it's over 2 hours, 2 hours and 18 minutes,
yeah,
I believe,
it is a chunky movie. I mean, you really do have to sit down, and there are a lot of times when you're kind of like, okay, how long have we been on this subject?
Yeah, and it felt like they ran out of time at the end. And they're like, let's just wrap it up. So I didn't feel like a lot of the characters got the conclusion that they deserve.
Yeah. And it seemed like they were building up to a pretty good point, but it's around that midpoint where it kind of plateaus, and then everything kind of became a caricature of itself. I felt like the bad guy or the main terrorist it did a good job on building him up as a creepy kind of a character.
Oh my God,
but then just turned him into like a crazy psychopath, and then it's over.
I really actually did like his performance, because you just can't help but be so mad.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you doing this? And it's just like, you guys watch the movie and figure that out. And I will say another thing to like really nitpick at, while I do enjoy the cast, and individually they're all so talented, performances are 100. As always, usually with Korean actors, whenever I watch them, I'm like, wow, the performance is really good. And I really, really love Song Kang-ho and Byung-hun Lee. Like, I've watched them for a very long time. For some reason, didn't feel that thread of connection to them. So when things were happening, like, I didn't really feel that tug of emotion that I normally would have felt watching K content. I felt it towards like halfway through the third act, when it was involving families, and like that got me a little bit. But that was really it. I would say the emotions I felt were more like anxiety and the suspense.
And the stress.
And the stress. A lot of... And the audience felt it too, because everybody was very vocal about certain things in certain moments.
And I do have to admit, there were a lot of moments too where the audience did laugh at parts that I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's actually where we're supposed to laugh. There were a little bit of those awkward moments to where people, I think, just laughed out of like...
And with that, we're going to go ahead and give our rating for this film. And as always, the movie couple rating scale is listed in the video description. I had a good time watching this movie. I was already, most way in, like 90% in. When I saw the cast, I was like, oh, no problem. I am in for it. But that third act really kind of didn't wrap up as strongly as I had hoped that it would. So my rating for it would be matinee it.
For me, I wasn't that invested in it when I first went in. I also had a very big difficulty with it because I have a really hard time reading subtitles. So there's probably a lot of things that I did miss with the character development, with some of the personalities. So I really couldn't get attached to any of the characters. It looked like it was going in the right direction, but then once it hit that midpoint, it just plateaued for me. So I'm actually going to say that this is not for me. I can see how if you understand the language and you understand the culture, you would have a much better connection to it. But for me, this is just not for me.
And there you go. That is our thoughts on the movie Emergency Declaration. Let us know your thoughts when you watch it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.